Legacy, I realized that last week most of you took it off, so I'm only actually covering 2 matchups. And like I said, this is not anything to do with the NFL. I'm saving that to the very, very end, trying to make these a little bit more punchy and quick. We'll see how I do. So we are going to go over the 2 matchups that was in our quarterfinals, and then everyone's playing this week for the last week because at least 2 teams will be taken off the final one. So we'll see how that ends up. But first, we'll get to our semifinals and our quarterfinals. Then we'll get to preview what's next this week. Not gonna lie to you, this one just hurt, but at least it was over quick. I mean, I had my bagel right away with Cooper Kupp, and I knew I had to climb up, and then it just kind of fell. Maddie was classy and only sent one FU message, and that was after my bagel. But realistically, I just wasn't in the cards. I mean, come on. In a league like this, you know you got to be north of that other guy's predicted. 150 was not going to win it for me. I had to step up. I had a couple people. I was happy with my quarterbacks and okay with at least a couple of the running back plays, but not all of them. I had some tankers. When my big claim to fame is I had 2 of the top 5 defenses, but I don't know if you've checked the stats. You can only actually have 1 defense start. So, yep, there's that. On the other side, riddling our top 5. We had the running back 2, 3, and 5 on Woody's team. We had the wide receiver 2, tight end 2 and 4, meaning he actually left some options on the bench. Obviously, one of the running backs I just talked about, one of the tight ends I just talked about. So you actually didn't even always make your best choices, and yet you didn't even need to. St. Brown was a massive backbreaker for me. The fact that that game went so epic didn't really help my cause. The only thing I could subtly maybe be smug about is the James Cook kind of epic performance. But if you have that kind of depth, because realistically, none of your running backs underperformed. Pretty much everyone across the board except for Kyler and Darnold and your QBs overperformed. So was what it was. Just wasn't meant to be. I'm going to be in the irrelevant game or the matchup game. And Woody, you've had an up and down season, but you're coming in hot. Someone's going to have to try and take down one of these 2 juggernauts, and it just might be you. In a much more balanced and gentlemanly affair, this one did come down to the last couple of matchups, and realistically, 1 hit their predicted and just over, 1 went just under. Rennie, you kind of on the downside of this one. You really did need 1 or 2 of your guys to kind of go off. Now, granted, you did have a massive quarterback performance, but it was on your bench again. Goff stepped up. He actually would have been the difference because he would have been, from either one of your guys. That one kind of burns because you do have some tough quarterbacking decisions with Mahomes kind of getting jarred and hurt there. That didn't help your cause. Now, you didn't have a massive epic performance across the board, but you did have a couple guys. Your receivers were certainly nice for you. At least 2 out of the 3 were. And like I said, it's not like you're actually, you throw in Ladd McConkey, and realistically, it was your receivers that got you where you need to go, and your running backs and tight ends that let you down. Reschke, you came up big where you needed to. You had the quarterback 4, and in this particular case, you didn't actually put him on the bench. So you swallowed the moral pill, and you put Rodgers in your game because you really did outlast a few of your big guys. Brock Bowers and Derrick Henry have been staples for you this year, and they really didn't show up. Lucky for you, 2 of your 3 receivers did, and Jacobs has been on a bit of a run, so he ends up being probably one of the better values this year in terms of our auction. You do have some depth here. You had a defense you left on the bench that would have also helped you out, so it's not like you didn't have choices either, but doesn't really matter. You're the one who went through in the super tight matchup, so once again, like I said to Woody, we know our top 2 have been our top 2 for most of the year, but you've put up some numbers too, so you're nothing to sneeze at. We're going to get to those matchups just ahead here. Before we get to the semis and even the placement matchup, I want to build and put a couple minutes or maybe just a minute on each round. Now this one, let's not go ahead and assume that Yahoo's got this in the formal battle of the middle school, and I would assume a little bit of pride. We do have Monty who got hurt, so Maxon, if you were worried and thinking, man, if I just would have gotten in the playoffs, remember, you would have played Woody and you would have needed all of your horses and you didn't have them anyway. So yes, I know you still would have rather made the playoffs, but let's be honest, it just might not have been in the cards this year. You do have some pretty important people on the bench. I know you didn't care last week. My guess is out of just sheer pride and your Yahoo profile or just the fact that you don't want to lose to Tim, you're going to go ahead and make those moves, but let's see what happens. I personally think it's bad juju to not put your guys in. I also do care if I finish dead last or not, so I think, Kent, you might be on the same side. Timmer, let's see how it goes, because actually, not just do you have the favor here, but 130 is predicted. You do have a talented squad who has gone off occasionally. You do have some interesting choices to make. Spears had a monster week last week, but obviously you didn't need to put him in or out of your bench. I don't know, though, if he's good enough that you would want to put him in for anyone else. You don't seem to, knock on wood, have any really significant injuries to worry about, so you are going to get to put forward what you think is your best matchup. Will be interesting if you decide to put a second quarterback in or ride with an extra flex player. So let's see how it goes, gentlemen. Same for different, but I would say this one crazy that you're actually within a point of each other predicted. And Jeff, based on your season, it wouldn't shock me if it came down to less than like a point in deciding. You've been on the minus side at least once or twice of super close matchups that kept you out of the playoffs. So Marco, Jeff, I think if you look at your teams, actually fairly similar in what you might need. I think, Jeff, you've got a little bit more depth in the running back position. Marco, you got a little more depth in the wide receiver position. I think all of your quarterbacks right now, there's only 2.5 that are starting. Geno is starting, I think, still as of now. We'll see when Sunday happens, if we still get there. The double tight end action, lots to actually think about here. So I think you all got decisions to make. You got some people on the side. Same here. Who will you end up going with? Now, I know you both have pride, so I'm guessing is you're going to put your best matchup forward. So let's see who makes it to the consolation final and who is in kind of the toilet bowl. Aside from just not being in the semifinals, Rennie, the thing that sucks the most, I think, for both of us is we enjoy playing these things, and this is our last matchup of the year. We're the only ones who finish after this year. We will know our placement of 5th and 6th. Not the matchup we wanted for this weekend, but we have enough pride that I know you're going to be paying attention because there's no way you want to lose to me to finish off this season. And I would say vice versa, my friend. I think our teams are fairly evenly matched. I think in the Yahoo Predicteds, if you're within 55, 56%, it is a coin toss and they know it. I think you do have some undervalued running backs, so we'll see how they step up. You could probably say the same for me, and especially I think you win on the wide receiver pedigree. I think our quarterbacks present a really interesting matchup because right now you've got Goff in, and it seems like that guy has haunted you where every time you've made a move, he's tried to counter. So our quarterback play is going to come into it. At least one or two of these guys are going to go off. I don't know if this ends up being the team that you dress, and I can say that I'm definitely on the fence a ton about the team that I'm going to dress. So best of luck to you, buddy. Only 2 wins stand between Gene and a back-to-back championship dynasty style. And I think the biggest thing that's going to come up in terms of the actual football sense, Cincinnati playing Cleveland is quite huge. That can be both good and bad. I would think Cincinnati's going to want to pump Cleveland as much as they can, and in which case Burrow and Chase keep on throwing. That could be pretty disastrous for anybody you might be playing, but if they have the game on lock and they want to change the script, that is in play, whereas someone like Saquon, who's been monstrous for you, I think he's just kind of a solid start. I think your running backs provide you a lot of depth, and realistically, you just got a lot of juggernauts, so you're not really dependent on one particular person going off. Rushke, you know you've put up massive weeks, so even though Yahoo has you down a little bit, they don't love your matchups. Now, I don't know if this one ends up being your final squad. You do have some decisions to make, I think, but the biggest thing for you is I think you were a little bit more boom bust than Gene was. Not like you busted in that much, and I don't mean that in the weird sense. I just mean like your highs have been as high, if not higher, than anybody. So if you have a couple of your guys just go off, he could be in trouble. And I think just realistically, if I'm being honest, you're going to have to do it. I don't think either one of our semifinals are going to be low scoring. I think I've even put for the next one, I wrote down 175 to win. I actually think it might be the same here. You're going to want your best foot forward, so best of luck to you both. Take what I just said and then say the exact same things. The only thing here is this is actually a coin toss as of now. Now that'll change before kickoff because all the numbers tend to, and this is on Thursday, but it will be very interesting to see who steps up. Connor, you just consistently here. You always seems to be in the semis, always pushing to get to those finals. You know you're going to need a big score. You started off this year, though, kind of in the tank, so you're probably one of our hottest teams right now. But if I had to say the only other kind of hot team right now, that'd be Maddie. You two right now are probably the two forces who've been coming together here and rising up. Now, I think the other semifinal is going to present different challenges, but just for this one, advantages, I think, Woody, the fact that you got Gibbs in his open backfield should be of help. Although to counter that, I think Mixon's going to get a lot of play in Kansas City because I don't know how serious Kansas City is playing that game, but I do know how serious Houston is playing that game, and that should likely to help you out. I think these are battle of the quarterbacks. I think in that case, Connor, you always have the quarterback advantage, but you've got our MVP both on the actual field and on the fantasy pitch. We've got some Thursday nights sprinkled in here. So this is a super exciting matchup. Definitely one that I'm actually going to be following, even though I'm not in. And I would do that even if I wasn't the commissioner. Super curious how this one goes. And I completely agree, Yahoo. Flip a Dan coin. That's it. Now our semifinals are set. Our consolation's looking all right, and Rennie and I are playing for an irrelevant game that we're probably going to still take super competitively. You may have noticed the background change. Yes, I am in Canada right now. Yes, I am a little bit quieter, probably trying to be close to the microphone, but we'll see what happens. Try not to wake up the whole house here, but I appreciate it. Hopefully this helped. Can you get you ready for what's in store for this weekend? Remember, we got a Thursday, we got a couple on Saturday, and then the rest is business as usual. Next week's schedule is crazy hectic, but let's not worry about that yet. I'm going to say good luck because actually in this case, I'm invested in beating one person. So I'm just, as a football fan, super excited to see what happens. Who makes the finals? Who moves forward? Only time will tell. Good luck, everyone.